Howdy doodly do. Thanks very much for coming back to see me and see what I've got for you this time. Another wee hardback journal. Here. It's I'm trying to think the best way of describing it. It's not necessarily vintage, but it is retro in many respects. It relates to cups of tea and cake, something nearly everybody loves. We'll have a wee quick look and you can see what you think. It's strange because in some respects I feel a wee bit funny about this one. I didn't do enough a lot of stamping in it and I kind of miss it. I didn't do much stamping because I really didn't have a lot of stamps relating to teacups and things like that. But it is, you know how sometimes things just need to be made? This is one of those journals that had to be made. Right, so my hardback cover here it's an old Reader's Digest book. What I've done is I've covered it with a K & Company paper, just run around it with vintage photo. This image is in fact a napkin that's been layered onto card, and I've layered that again on top of a wee bit of book paper up the top here that's been stained with vintage photo. There's one or two wooden sayings, yummy and cupcake, and we've got a little bit of lace down the bottom. Lace down the spine here and a wee bit lace on the back. So let's have a quick look. Now, first thing we've got is on the inside cover. This is more K & Company paper, and I've made a wee kind of tuck over here. As I told you the last time, I don't have the stamp that says and my story begins or and the story begins, so what I've done is I've printed out using my stamps here. I didn't know this was only the beginning. ... So the beginning of what we will ask. Well, I don't know, that depends on whatever gets written in it. Got a tag here that is corrugated cardboard, and I've die cut a little cupcake and put a little bit of lace on the top. We've got a wee bit of gold sparkly washi on the back. The papers I've used in this are from a pack called, wait a minute, I've got it here, Dovecraft's Cupcake Boutique. It's a 6x6 pack, so the papers aren't overly large. I have had it for ages and I have made a couple of cards with it, but you know what it's like when you buy these paper packs, you always think, I'll keep that paper because I really like it, and then you discover you've hardly used it. So that I have to say, it was more to do with I really just want to use up some of that paper. Even having used the paper, I've still hardly used any. Anyway, not to worry. So we've got a panel here that I have die cut, not die cut, I've just cut it out with scissors. I've layered that on top of a book page which is stained with vintage photo, and I've got a Star Baker sticker that's, well, it's actually one of these things that you plonk in the middle of a cupcake when you're baking. I used to do a lot of baking. I've lost a lot of weight, so I stopped baking basically. My brother a couple of Christmases ago bought me a Great British Bake Off cake kit because I was always baking, so this was one of the things that came with it. On the inside we've got a stamp that comes from that Dovecraft Cupcake Boutique set. I actually bought it the other day on eBay, and I didn't realise until it arrived and it had exactly the same packaging round about it that's where it came from. I've done a little bit, the papers are predominantly coffee stained by the way, but I've done a little bit of stenciling as well. Made a wee tag with, you can't buy happiness but you can buy cupcakes, and that's kind of the same thing. Well, that's very true in many respects, because sometimes a cake does solve a lot. I mean, it doesn't solve everything, but it solves a fair bit. A wee bit of stamping round about it again. Doily, and another page that's coffee stained with stenciling, and I've done a bit of fabric ruffling here. I saw a lot of videos from a girl, her name I think on YouTube is Ella Kate Designs, and she was on the TsunamiRose design team, and she likes these sort of ruffles, and I must admit I found them very attractive, so I thought I'll use a lot of my pastel material that I've got in my fat quarters, and then I've just layered a bit of lace on top of it. In here we've got some more coffee staining and stenciling, and oops, didn't mean to take the whole thing out there. That's like one of those wee cupcake things. That's set astride that page, bear with me, put it back. I can get to that in a wee minute. This is a copy of, see what I mean about it being retro as opposed to vintage. This was my first cooker when I left home and got my first flat. My first husband and myself had bought a flat, and it was an elderly lady. I'm not sure if she was going to live with family or if she was going into care, but she sold her flat completely furnished. Unfortunately, it was furnished in the style of somebody that had bought all their stuff in the 1960s. So this was my cooker, and despite its age, I worked wonders on this cooker. Absolutely loved it. It was very old. It had a griddle on the top as well, which was great for making things like potty scones, which is a Scottish thing. It's potatoes and flour. But I think Irish folks make them as well, but they're very nice. Anyway, right, so we've got the tuck here, and we've got a folded over page with a spot for tucking in. That's where that's meant to be, but it fell out when I took out the paper clip. That's some more coffee staining. Just another tag that I did with some a wee bit of stamping. The world looks happier, a happier place when viewed from behind a smile, and a wee bird on some cups and saucers, and these are from napkins. Just a bit of decoupage again. Oopsie daisy, I'm having a terrible time here. That's that stamp again, and a wee bit of stenciling. Over here I've got some more of the paper that I die cut using a doily die, and I've got cupcake, the wooden cupcake on top of that, and down the bottom I've got a little die cut cupcake with a wee bling gem on it. A wee bit of book page with Martha Stewart cutting and stenciling. Here I've got one of my favourites when I do the kind of ethereal little images on the index cards, and it's stacks of cups. Because let's face it, if you're going to have a tea party, you're going to need cups. Plenty of journaling space on the back of that. Another sheet of the paper, and a different little cupcake down here. Over here we've got the stenciling. I would like to think it's extensive dyeing using tea and coffee this time, because I actually combined them both at one point. Another wee ruffle and a wee bit of lace on top. Normal book page. A little die cut heart using the paper again. And some stenciling. Over here we've got another wee tuck spot. I've got a vellum flower, I'm not sure how well you'll see that here. Die cut out, layered on top of a wee ticket. And some stenciling. There's stenciling I think on every page. Just a little tag I made saying, sometimes I open my mouth and my mother comes out. And she does. Very much she does. Wee bit of ephemera. Tea party fun, and it's actually a little image of a very ornate tea party that's been set up. And this, when I got the cooker, the cookbook was in it, and the cookbook, this is another reason I don't want to use the word vintage, the cookbook was actually written in the year I was born. So yes, I'm prepared to accept retro, but don't dare call me vintage. So you've got some recipes here for meringues, jap cakes, fruit luncheon cake, which is obviously a very fruity cake. Oh, I love that. 3 ounces of margarine or dripping. Oh, how healthy. Spice cake, yeast cake and currant cake. I have made 1 or 2 recipes for this book. the cakes are really nice. Oh, I can hear somebody driving past. There's an election tomorrow for the council and somebody's driving past with their speaker going. Right, so here we've got another little die cut cupcake from the paper again, from the Cupcake Boutique. Another doily, more ruffled. Good stain in there. Little tiny doily. And another tuck spot with a little butterfly on it. And here we've got a little tag with some dry embossing, and I've gone over that with one of those gilding waxes. Another tag with little birdies. My fly little birdie. I think that's one of TsunamiRose's tags. And this is more digital ephemera that I got from Etsy. I'll leave a note in my list as to the companies that I've used. That's just a banner that I stuck down. Book page, another banner there down the bottom. Little heart cut from the Cupcake Boutique paper. Book page, another tag I've made. This one's got some Lindy Stamp Gang. I used embossing powder there, and I dry embossed the bottom and went over that again with one of the gilding waxes and a little bit of washi tape there. Got another little ruffle here and one of those flowery rosettes. They're really expensive, and you know, I mean, I watch videos and some folk use them with such gay abandon that you can't help but think, where do you get the money? Either that or they're dirt cheap in America, but they're certainly not cheap here. Here's the centre, and we've got the hearts in a string, again cut from the Cupcake Boutique paper. Another new ruffle. Jotted page. Banner that I've die cut again. And another little heart. I don't know, I'm really worried that you're not seeing these terribly well. The lighting here is absolutely bizarre. We go from being pitch black to, you know, blindingly bright. I don't understand it. A pretty cup. It's actually a photograph of one of my own cups. I really love cups and saucers. Well, they're referred to as trios because you get a tea plate with them for putting your scones on. And I have quite a collection of cups, saucers and tea plates. Book page, re-ruffle with some lace. Another little tuck spot. Got a little vellum envelope here that I made up. And oh, there's another little cupcake down there. Here's some more of this book, the cookery book I've got. This one's got pastry recipes for short crust and for a fruit pie. I can recommend the fruit pie, by the way. And some more ephemera of a bowl. It looks like a sugar bowl, but I think that it's referred to as a 3-piece berry sweet set. Presumably it's for fruit and whatever, and cream and sugar. Oh, good staining in that page. Doily, another bit of the paper. Another doily. Little ruffle. There's that stamp again. And we've got a different doily that I die cut here and a little cupcake to match, and it says delicious. That's little wooden ones. Again, these are part of the set. I bought them at a different time, didn't realise they all match. It's just luck with me if anything matches. Another ruffle. Little cupcake. Book page. Another book page cut from the thing. And some more recipes, and 2 little tickets, one saying cake that I printed out and one saying tea, ephemera, and recipes for rock cakes and coconut cake. Little heart, ruffle, more recipes. I've got a recipe here for a wedding cake, got another vellum flower down the bottom. And pumpkin pie, and the song Home Sweet Home. So So here we are at the end of the book, and what we have is another little bit folded over, and it says, "And suddenly it was over." Or was it? Well, yes it is, it's finished. So anyway, not to worry. It's over in the sense that that's this journal done, but obviously it's time to move on to the next journal. Oh, incidentally, that card's meant to go in one of the pages. It's just a card that I printed from a set I bought on Etsy, and stamped on it with "A smile is the same in any language," which is very true. And that's the little bird again on the cups and saucers. So, put that in there. And the book itself is secured using sari silk, which is just in a kind of creamy colour. I was going to try and dye it, but I thought, well, what do I go with here? Do I go with the colour of the book, which is a kind of green shade? Or do I go with the sort of pastels that are in the book? And I thought, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just use the normal colours that it came in and leave it at that. So there you go. I hope you like it. Please subscribe if you get the chance, and if you want to give me a wee thumbs up and maybe even leave me a message, because I really like meeting folk that have had a wee look in and have a comment to pass. If there's anything at all that needs cleared up, if you don't understand anything about it, or if there's something I can clarify in terms of where I bought it or what it was, by all means give me a wee shout. Thanks very much for stopping by today. See you again next time. Bye.